Deputy Whip of the House, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. Mr. Secretary, it's my estimation that your department is just weak, it's feckless, and at best, your department is incompetent. I could go through a litany of examples. We could talk about Afghanistan. We could talk about the missteps you had in Ukraine. We could talk about the Houthi rebels. We could talk about the vacillation with Israel. But the most distilled example is the most recent, and that's Turks and Caicos. The reason so distilled is you don't have the complexity of the other issues. Turks and Caicos, you have 5 Americans that are wrongfully detained, not technically wrongfully detained in a word of, in a phrase of diplomacy, but these are individuals that had at most 20 rounds of ammunition. They've been treated atrociously by a government that represents 60,000 people in a geography that has a landmass that's roughly 2.5 the size of DC. I mean, this is not even a sovereign nation. It's a protector to the British Empire or the UK. And you can't tell me that you can't put a do not travel today on Turks and Caicos and bring the 4 Americans that still remain in Turks and Caicos home. It would take one order to bring 4 Americans home. 4 Americans, by the way. One is a grandmother from Florida she was caught with 2 rounds of ammunition in her purse. She was chained to a desk for 3 days. Your State Department, your officials, did not come and visit her. It was up to the other American detainees to bring her food, water, a pillow, a blanket for that night. My constituents, your State Department didn't even call my constituent for 2 months into his detention. Even though he was in a jail for a period of days, no health and comfort visit from your department. So again, I'm just really baffled by again the weakness and incompetence of your department. You can prove me wrong. Issue the do not travel to Turks and Caicos today. Bring the Americans home. I yield back.
Well, thank you, Congressman. It won't surprise you to know that I fundamentally
Mr.
disagree
Blinken,
with
Secretary
your,
Blinken, I yield back to the chair. You don't need to say anything. You can issue a detention. You can issue a do not travel, end the detention of those Americans and bring them home. We're done talking. You need to now act. That is what you need to do. Issue the do not travel today. Bring them home.
I'd be happy to respond.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, he yielded back, Mr. Secretary, but
Well, it's a nice, it's a wonderful technique to make a statement and not give you a chance to respond.
Well, why don't we give you some time to respond then, because we do have a little bit of
I'd
time.
simply say, Congressman, I welcome working with you on this, and please bring the information forward to me. Second, we have a State Department and extraordinary men and women who every single day are working to get arbitrarily detained Americans back home with their families and loved ones. And we've had more success in this administration in doing that than in any previous administration. And Roger Carstens and his team are at this every single day. And we brought Americans home from all over the world, and it's our #1 priority. So I will apologize to no one for the efforts that our people make every day to help Americans who are in jeopardy anywhere around the world.
Wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I
Secretary.
appreciate
Obviously, we do need to bring these folks home, and hopefully, like, pronto.